Anime, Dead Mount Death Play. The scene begins by showing a barren battlefield surrounded by hills. A group of armored soldiers appears frightened by their current opponent. Their adversaries are casting numerous consecutive circles of magic. From these magic circles, various weapons such as swords, axes, daggers, and others materialize. The weapons swiftly soar through the air, attacking the front lines of the soldiers and killing them with a single strike. Suddenly, a warrior approaches the captain of the troops and whispers something to him. Upon hearing the message conveyed by the warrior, the captain reacts quickly and orders his troops to retreat, taking the wounded soldier to the wizard for healing. He makes this decision because the conquering unit has arrived. His gesture feels relieved as the person referred to as the secret weapon of the church faction comes along with the unit. That person is a war veteran who has repeatedly challenged death. They are Shagrua Edith Lugrid, known as the Disaster Exterminator. At that moment, the enemy reveals itself. It turns out that their opponent all this time is a giant skeletal monster who is a necromancer. They call him the God of Corpses. The necromancer has resurrected numerous corpses and brought them to devour the world. Shagrua prepares his steeds to begin the assault on the God of Corpses. He then swiftly advances by using the magic circles inscribed on his feet. The God of Corpses easily deflects Shagrua's attacks and throws him far away. Of course, Shagrua does not fall when thrown. Instead, he can swiftly return to confront the God of Corpses with the aid of his magic circles. Once again, the God of Corpses utters incantations to summon various weapons from the magic circles, but it doesn't trouble Shagrua at all. He deflects all of the weapons without getting injured. When the God of Corpses realizes that his attacks have not harmed Shagrua at all, he begins to chant a tremendously powerful spell. The spirits of the slain warriors coalesce into one entity. The skeletal remains of the soldiers also fly around and merge together. All the bones and souls then unite and transform into a zombie dragon. Shagrua prepares to intercept the dragon's attack by enchanting his sword with the magic of light. He intends to cleave the dragon's head, but unfortunately, the dragon remains resilient against Shagrua's assault. Shagrua is dragged backward by the immense force of the zombie dragon. However, Shagrua is determined not to give up easily. He once again recites magic spells on his feet and harnesses all his strength. With a shout, the zombie dragon splits in two from head to tail. Indeed, Shagrua cannot surrender now. If he doesn't defeat the God of Corpses immediately, the undead army he has raised will surely ravage the world. The battle between Shagrua and the God of Corpses continues. They still appear evenly matched. Not satisfied, the God of Corpses once again manipulates the spirits of the slain warriors. This time, he resurrects them in the form of mere skeletons. As if filled with anger, Shagrua narrows his eyes. Flashbacks from his childhood are shown. When he was young, someone, possibly his parents, took him away while being pursued by a deranged killer. The person who took him was killed right before his eyes. His hometown was also burned to the ground, and many residents became victims. And somehow, young Shagrua seemed to be able to see and hear the spirits of the deceased. These spirits constantly blamed Shagrua for their deaths. It turns out that the reason Shagrua can see spirits is that he possesses the eyes of the damned. With these eyes, the owner can see the spirits of creatures that have passed away. It's not just human spirits, the eyes can also perceive the spirits of animals and monsters. Young Shagrua was adopted by the church to be used as a weapon to defeat dangerous monsters and end the war. The flashback ends, and we return to the battle between Shagrua and the God of Corpses. Shagrua can clearly see the sacrificed spirits by the God of Corpses, and surprisingly, the God of Corpses also possesses the eyes of the damned. Rumor has it that there are two types of owners of the eyes of the damned. The first type is those who dedicate themselves to the church, like Shagrua. And the second type is those who manipulate spirits and become necromancers, like the God of Corpses. This indicates that the God of Corpses was once a human as well. Shagrua, who is breaking through the bone army, unleashes fire magic towards the God of Corpses. He targets the fragile rocks above the God of Corpses to deceive him. The bone army gets buried by the rocks, and the God of Corpses is also affected, although not fatally. Shagrua seizes the opportunity to attack. The attack reveals the true form of the God of Corpses, a brain kept inside some sort of magical jar. He no longer possesses a human body. Suddenly, the God of Corpses says that Shagrua and himself are the same. As fellow owners of the eyes of the damned, He believes that Shagrua enjoys the screams of the dead just like him. Shagrua vehemently refuses to be compared to that mad necromancer. The god of corpses then wants to end this battle, which he considers a game. He chants his ultimate spell, leaving Shagrua astonished. Shagrua has never seen such a pattern of magic circles before. With all his strength and magic, and with the assistance of his unit members, Shagrua tries to destroy the magic circle created by the god of corpses. His sword pierces right in the middle of the magic circle. The god of corpses appears panicked as his magic circle is on the verge of breaking. The atmosphere becomes more intense as Shagrua's sword goes deeper, and boom! The magic circle shatters, causing an enormous surge of energy. Has Shagrua emerged victorious? The scene shifts, revealing a white-haired child with black accents waking up from unconsciousness. The child wonders if the spell from earlier was successfully activated. The surroundings no longer resemble a world of swords and magic, but rather a modern world like the present. Does this mean that Shagrua died and crossed over to this world, possessing the body of the child? Unaware of the wound on his neck, he sets off to explore the city. Through CCTV footage, a man wearing what appears to be virtual reality goggles is shocked to see the child. He says that the child should be dead, killed by a hired assassin. He wonders why the child is still alive. The child is amazed by the architecture and technology in the city, which is completely different from his previous world. This city is none other than Shinjuku in Japan. While observing the city, he believes that this is a peaceful land without war. He is reminded of the fate of the land in his previous world and hopes that it too finds peace. While lost in thought, two police officers approach the child. At first, he doesn't understand the language spoken by the officers. Gradually, he starts to comprehend their words, and eventually, he fully understands them. The child suspects that he absorbed linguistic information stored in the brain of the body's owner, enabling him to understand Japanese. He now knows that the body's owner is named Shinoyama Polka. The two officers express concern upon seeing the injury on Polka's neck. It is a rather severe wound, and he should be taken to the hospital. Out of nowhere, a girl jumps down and stomps on the head of one of the officers, causing him to fall. The girl has glasses and her hair is in twin braids. Polka, who currently has no knowledge of the girl, is recognized by her. The girl invites Polka to escape from the police. As they run, they attract the attention of the people around them. Particularly a blonde-haired man with a piercing on his face, Iwa, and a dark-skinned person next to him, Eris. Iwa mentions that strange things like this often happen in Shinjuku. The identities of the two of them have not yet been explained. After successfully escaping from the police, the girl reintroduces herself as Polka seems to have forgotten. The girl's name is Sakamiya Misaki, and according to Polka's current recollection, Misaki is Polka's friend. Misaki suddenly checks Polka's body, saying that it's still warm and he can still walk, which means he hasn't died from the wound on his neck. Polka expresses gratitude, feeling puzzled. However, Misaki promptly responds that there's no need to thank her because now she's going to kill Polka once again. Panicked, Polka suddenly recalls memories from this body. Misaki is not his friend, she is the person who inflicted the wound on his neck. Upon remembering, Polka runs as fast as he can, while Misaki chases him with a crowbar, smiling blissfully. Polka manages to hide temporarily, but he's already out of breath from running so abruptly. His new body seems to be very weak. He's also surprised because his body has almost no magical energy. Even as he wanders around the city, he can barely sense any magical elements. He's confused about what to do, and he doesn't even know why Misaki wants to kill the owner of this body. From behind, Misaki manages to locate him, causing Polka to panic. Misaki throws 3 consecutive knives, but fortunately, Polka is able to dodge them. Upon seeing this, Misaki is amazed because it's the first time someone has been able to evade her attacks. Feeling even more joyful, Misaki continues her assault with a crowbar, her smile growing wider. Polka can still anticipate Misaki's attacks, but his new body can't keep up with his reflexes. Polka tries to run again, but Misaki manages to stab a knife into his calf. Refusing to give up, Polka immediately pulls out the knife and throws it at Misaki, although it misses slightly. Polka continues to run until he reaches a dark room. Misaki, who successfully chases after him, explains that this place is where the Yakuza carry out executions. Misaki also mentions that there are rumors of wandering ghosts in this place, so nobody dares to come here. Polka, sitting on the ground while listening to Misaki's words, suddenly becomes cynical. We are shown that Polka can see the spirits in the area with his eyes. Polka comes to a conclusion that the cursed eyes are the power of the soul, not limited to the physical body. He also sees many spirits surrounding Misaki's body and advises her to value life more. However, Misaki ignores Polka's words and immediately intends to strike him. Polka continues his statement, saying that Misaki should value life because every living being's life is just a plaything to her. And suddenly, Polka creates a magic circle that summons a giant bone arm, piercing Misaki directly in the abdomen. In this moment, we finally discover that it wasn't Shagrua, the disaster slayer, who transferred from the other world, but the necromancer himself, Corpse God. The scene shifts to the previous world, showing Shagrua feeling restless. He is unsure if Corpse God has been successfully killed because in the final moments when his sword pierced Corpse God's incantation also activated. According to Shagrua, the incantation bore resemblance to teleportation magic, but he isn't certain. Shagrua hopes that Corpse God has died completely, even though the church announced that the trace of Corpse God's soul has vanished from that world. The scene returns to Polka, who has regained his power from the previous world. He thanks Misaki for bringing him to this place full of spirits and magical energy. He murmurs that perhaps he can find a peaceful life in this world. Misaki, severely impaled in the abdomen, can only remain silent. In the final scene of the episode, Polka still wants to challenge Misaki to continue their fight. However, Misaki remains silent. Perplexed, Polka checks on her and realizes that Misaki is already dead. He never expected that Misaki would perish just from a single small attack. This is the end of episode 1. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss part 2 of this series recap.